I'm Nimesh Bhagat. I head product management for Gemini in databases. With me on stage today, you'll have Alexey, Ossikine, product manager, Gemini in databases, Colman, UX director and front-end director for databases, Bogdan, Capatina, technical expert at Ford. It's 8 a.m., your first session in Las Vegas. I know this audience is truly interested and excited about how AI will transform database management. We're going to make this session engaging and exciting. How many live demos do we want to see today with Gemini? 1, 2. Let's do 5 live demos. 5 live demos with Gemini. But let's have feedback loop. Every time a demo is done, I'm hoping it all works out with Gemini. I need to hear a round of applause, right? And if you love it, louder the applause, right? Are we ready? Yeah. All right. We have a 3-part agenda. First, I'm excited to introduce Gemini in databases, what we announced yesterday. Second, we'll be doing product overview and demos. And third, we have a spotlight session with our design partner, Ford. As you see, we have a packed agenda, so let's get started. Every organization we talk to tells us managing databases is getting more and more challenging. We believe there are 4 key trends in the last few years which is causing this. The first one is this proliferation of databases, making them hard to manage. Second, the responsibility of database observability and performance is lying on the shoulder of DevOps and developers, and they are struggling to keep up. Third, as part of modernization journey, more and more customers want to move from their legacy on-prem databases to cloud-managed databases, and those migration journeys are not easy at all. And fourth, the rising security threats to databases. These trends have made database management complex. Once you zoom out and look at the modern database management, as you see in the picture, you start understanding why. The 3 reasons you can observe on this picture. Number 1, there's unprecedented scale. Database instances per developer, per admin have been increasing at rapid pace in the last few years. Second, a modern database fleet does not have just one database engine type, but have many, many database engine types, and each of them can be different from others. And third, there are a number of personas who are involved in managing this database fleet. You have generalist personas who are not database experts, and then you have database experts who are specialists. And then you have horizontal personas who are responsible for entire fleet, and some are responsible for just a few applications. The tools available for all of these personas today tends to be point solutions, fragmented, and often hard to use. No wonder database management is getting challenging by the day. How did we get here? To understand how we got here, we need to look at the evolution of database management for the last 15 years. It has evolved from self-managed databases to managed databases, such as Cloud SQL, memory store. It was a magical experience for the first time when a developer sitting on a chair could press a button and get a MySQL instance, and eliminating a ton of management things which they used to do. This was the first pivotal point when it came to database management. Then as the demand for rich and more reliable applications grew, we at Google introduced and unleashed cloud-optimized architecture, such as Cloud Spanner, Cloud Bigtable, AlloyDB. This is a second inflection point of database management. It reduced complexities such as sharding databases, horizontal scaling, multi-region availability. Each of these innovations have been a step function when it comes to database management, reducing unit cost of building and managing databases dramatically. As a result, you have more apps, more richer apps, more frequent releases, and you see the complexity which you saw on the previous slide. We believe we are ready for the next pivotal point in database management, the one powered by AI, to tame the complexity of volume, variety, and velocity of modern database management needs. I am so excited today to announce the next evolution of database management with Gemini in databases. It is your AI-powered database assistant which will transform how you build, manage, and operate your databases. It will dramatically reduce the unit cost of building and manage databases, allowing you to build more and quickly. Starting today, we have announced 5 new capabilities when it comes to Gemini in databases. First, enables you to streamline and expedite database management. Second, improves your developer productivity when it comes to databases. Third, will de-risk and help you optimize your database fleets even of hundreds and thousands. Fourth, will enable your developers to stay ahead of performance problems. Fifth, will enable you to have proactive governance. All 5 of them are available for all of you right now to use and try. So let's look at each one of them in details, starting with database migrations. Many of you have been involved in database migrations, and you know they're not easy. Not easy at all. A seemingly simple migration can take up to 6 months, and complex migrations can even take 2 years in our experience. There are 2 things which comes and adds challenges to these migrations. First is code conversion, especially for heterogeneous migrations, where your source and destination have different dialects. And code conversion at production stages are at high risk and error prone. Migrations are time-consuming as they require repeated tasks over your hundreds and thousands of lines of database code. And again, you have to make sure you got each one of them right. To address this, we've introduced Gemini in databases capability, which is Gemini-assisted code and schema conversion in our database migration service. With Gemini-powered code and schema conversion, it will automatically help you simplify your last mile of code conversion across SQL dialects. For example, from Oracle to AlloyDB. In this case, we know migrations are tricky. So our AI just does not even help you convert, but it provides explainability so that your developers can understand why certain conversion is happening and suggested, and making them familiar with the destination dialects such as PostgreSQL. I'd like to call upon Kat to show Gemini in databases in action.
All right, thanks, Nimesh. So I'm going to walk through a fictitious example of symbol shops to illustrate how Gemini in databases can simplify your entire workflow. So Symbol Shops is a 50-year-old big box chain store, and they've been interested in migrating the remainder of their on-prem databases to the cloud, where their newer applications and infrastructure already sit. Their CIO has asked Dina, their DBA, to migrate their legacy databases from Oracle to AlloyDB, starting with the electronics database. In order to complete this task, however, Dina needs to understand the source and target dialects well, and she doesn't. Let me show you how Dina can learn to fix conversion issues using Gemini explainability in database migration service. Let's go to the demo. Okay. Now, Dina is in her Oracle to Postgres conversion workspace, but she hasn't done anything manual yet. So there's been no conflict resolution at all. And she's looking to resolve some of these conflicts. She clicks on one of her stored procedures, and she has a handy conversion assistant right here in the top right, where she can ask, how should I fix object conversion issues? And this is really cool because Gemini understands what the issues are, provides her with a refactoring approach, an explanation of changes, some key points, and probably the coolest piece is this side-by-side view of the conversion. So on the left is the code after we did an initial Oracle to Postgres conversion. And on the right, Dina can see what Gemini has done to refactor the code. This way, she can see exactly what Gemini did, she can review the Postgres, and most importantly, she can learn from it. So Dina's going to go ahead and insert the suggestion, save the SQL, and she's all set to go. Now, once she's done this a couple of times, Gemini will take over and will apply these changes across all of the conflicts in her conversion workspace. Now that Symbol has migrated this legacy database, the next thing at the top of their minds is how to accelerate application development. Back to you, Nimesh.
Thank you, Kat. That's the feedback loop. Thank you.
Kind of cool. Live demo.
Developers are one of the most critical assets to every organization. Making them productive is the highest leverage task any organization can achieve. With databases, developer productivity is not easy. A recent 2023 Stack Overflow survey said 82% of developers spend more than 30 minutes each day searching for solutions. With databases, we see this number even to be higher in our understanding. This happens because a lot of developers today building databases are not database experts. They're full stack developers, application developers. They do lack SQL expertise. At the same time, today they are tasked to code SQL in multiple SQL dialects, making this job even harder. The tools available to them are complex today. Every organization wants to empower the tens, hundreds, and thousands of developers, but they want to do this in a secured and compliant way. To address this, I'm excited to introduce Database Studios with Code Assistance. Database Studio is an in-context code editor available right inside Google Cloud Console. It requires no setup. With Database Studios, developers have access. They can test and run SQL only when they have the right permissions. Now with Gemini, a user can simply code SQL using natural language. They can further highlight a complex SQL statement and get this understanding in natural language such as English. Let us look at how Symbol Shops made their application team innovative with Gemini. Over to you, Kat.
All right, thanks again, Nimesh. So it's almost the end of the quarter, and Symbol Shops wants to run a flash sale on their excess inventory. Pretty common use case, right? So they've asked Anita, their application developer, to ensure the flash sale tag seamlessly displays on their app to attract shoppers. Let's check out a demo of how Anita can do this using AlloyDB Studio. All right, so she has navigated to AlloyDB Studio in our Google Cloud Console, and she's gone ahead and gone to the electronics database. And let's click on our editor tab so we can go ahead and open this editor. Anita is still getting used to writing SQL, and so she clicks on this handy Gemini code assistance for help. And she's going to do this prompt here, list inventory where stock exceeds 50% average daily sales. Oops, let's spell sales right. Aha. So she goes ahead and sees that Gemini has inferenced the electronics table and suggested SQL code for all excess inventory. So she clicks Insert to insert the query. She wants a little bit of help understanding the SQL that Gemini has generated. So I'm going to go ahead and select this query here. And we're going to click on our little sparkle icon, which goes ahead and opens up our Gemini chat interface. And so the Gemini chat interface is now going to break the query down into easily understandable components so that Anita has a better understanding of the database structure and the tables the query is pulling the data from. Because of this, Anita feels pretty confident in testing her query and verifying the results. And she's now ready to go ahead and update the app, and so she runs the selected query. Now that the application team has been able to update their app, the next thing on Symbol's wish list is to see if Gemini can assess and prevent risks before the sale goes up. Back to you, Nimesh.
Thank you, Kat. Wasn't that cool? When organizations are moving fast and they have hundreds and thousands of databases, the next top of the mind question for the database platform teams is, how can they stay ahead of risks? However, with modern database fleets, this is not easy. Here is why. A Redgate survey in 2023 said majority, 79% of IT teams are now using more than one database platform. And as many as 29% are using more than 5. Each of these database engines have different terminologies, different APIs, different ways they work, making database management to be very, very complex today. Further, the lack of centralized visibility available to the customers leads them to surprises and unexpected risk. Further, it inhibits collaboration between all the personas we saw earlier. This is, again, where Gemini can help. We're excited to introduce a brand new capability, Database Center, today with Gemini in databases. It provides a single pane of glass for monitoring the health of your databases across your organizations. This is across your projects, across your engines. It is across database use cases. Without ever having to switch between tabs or log in different environments, now you have unified database management at your fingertips. Further, Gemini has proactive recommenders which constantly work 24/7 to detect upcoming problems and suggest fixes. The coolest part comes next. Gemini in databases democratizes database management by enabling anyone to ask questions about the database fleet in natural language. Imagine someone asking the question, tell me all production instances in Northeast which have failed backups in the last 24 hours, and get a response in seconds, something which could have taken hours or days writing complex scripts or waiting for a centralized team. Let us look at this in action. Over to you, Kat.
Awesome. Thanks, Nimesh. All right, so back to our flash sale. All of our teams at Symbol Shops are mobilized to prepare for it. And Pat at the database platform team has a checklist of things that he wants to ensure. So are his instances right-sized for the heavy load? Are there security issues? Are the databases being backed up regularly? Are they set up for failover? Let's go to a demo so we can see how Pat can check everything on his checklist. All right, so Pat has gone ahead and navigated to our Google Cloud Console dashboard, and he's going to go ahead and open up our handy Gemini chat, and he's going to ask, are all of my production databases highly available? Gemini looks up all of the databases in his organization, filters them with the label production, and returns a total number that have no failover enabled. He sees that he can go ahead and click over to Database Center, so he's going to do that. And once he gets there, he can see that Database Center not only shows resources with no automatic failover, but it provides a 360-degree view of the entire database fleet, covering checks for availability, data protection, security and compliance, and over 25 recommenders from Gemini. To see the affected resources, Pat goes ahead and clicks on Resources Not Failover Protected, and he is immediately zeroed in to all of these individual resources. He selects the first one, which opens our handy Issue Details panel. This panel shows all the necessary information to resolve this issue in one place. And what he realizes is that this resource is not set up for automatic failover because it's configured to a single zone instead of a multi-zone. So he can go ahead, click here, edit configuration, and he's taken directly to the edit instance page for this particular Cloud SQL instance, where he can select multi-zone and go ahead and save it. Pat can follow these simple steps to fix all of the other issues he's found. With all of this information in one place, he can easily run through his checklist, which previously would have required him to collect information from many different sources. Gemini has made building and managing apps even easier, as you can see. But can it also help us tune and detect performance problems that we always tend to run into? Back to Nimesh to find out.
Thank you, Kat. Like simple shops, no one likes slow-running databases, especially during the most critical time for your businesses. However, keeping up with database performance, troubleshooting, and optimization is getting increasingly harder. Here is why. Application teams are shipping code faster than ever before. The Redgate survey shows nearly a third of development teams are now deploying database changes to production in a day or less, up 50% from 2 years ago. The next challenge is the person who gets on call when the slow-running database is no longer necessarily a database expert such as DBA. So full-stack developers, DevOps engineers, and they lack expertise. I always say the legacy database performance tools were built by experts for experts. Again, this is the fourth place where Gemini is going to add its magic. Excited to announce enhanced insights with Gemini. Gemini continuously monitors your workload, database configurations, and system resources. It provides you system tuning recommenders, such as setting the right database flags or not running out of resources when you're moving so fast. Query tuning recommenders look at your workload patterns over a period of time and provides you suggestions to improve your query performance, such as suggestions for missing indexes. Gemini chat integration right in context next to your database insights provides assistive troubleshooting. It provides in-context explanation and troubleshooting and also guides you to potential root causes. Let us look at how simple shops save the day with Gemini in databases. Back to you, Kat.
Awesome. Thanks, Nimesh. All right. So the Simple DevOps team runs a test of their retail applications to ensure quality performance on the day of their flash sale. They notice slow behavior and an inability to add items to their checkout carts. So Dave from their DevOps team receives a page to look into the issue. Let's go to a demo of how he can do this using Gemini. So first, Dave goes ahead and navigates to the Query Insights page in his Google Cloud Console. And he can see very clearly from the database load chart that there is a spike in total execution time, particularly in CPU wait time. Dave isn't a DBA, and he's not an expert in this, so he wants to figure out how can I better mitigate CPU wait time. So he goes ahead and opens Gemini, and he asks, how can I reduce CPU wait time in my queries? Gemini references cloud documentation, troubleshooting guides, and a variety of different articles that allows it to suggest some helpful tips for how Dave can do this. Everything from using indexes to using a query cache, etc. Much of these tips are obviously about optimizing the query. So Dave goes ahead and takes a look at his graph again, scrolls down a little bit, and is now looking at the list of top queries by total execution time. He notices that there is a create indexes recommendation on this first query here, and that's actually perfect because that's exactly what he needs. So he clicks on the recommendation, and he is able to see it explain which indexes and tables need to be updated, and also which queries will be impacted. So he goes ahead and updates with these new indexes. Having made these changes, the team continues additional testing, and with no new issues, they are able to successfully run their flash sale. As we've just run through, Gemini has helped Symbol with migration, with development, with fleet management, with performance troubleshooting. So now their leadership team wants it to help with one more thing that really keeps them up at night. Can Gemini help them quickly assess whether their entire org is secured, compliant, and they are not running over budget? Let's see if it can do that. Back to you, Nimesh.
There's always one more thing on the roadmap, right? We talked to a number of leaders. In 2024, two things keep them up at night. First is protecting and securing their most important asset, data. And second is not overrunning budgets in 2024. We increasingly see cyber attacks increase as reported by many industry reports such as Checkpoint Survey over a year. As AI gets more advanced, it is also helping bad actors. Database security configurations across so many database types of engines can be extremely hard to get it right. Missing compliance and cost overruns are common problems because of lack of expertise and time. And again, the tools available today for each of these databases are point solutions, and lack of centralized visibility makes it hard to detect the risk and stay ahead of them. Database Center also provides proactive governance. With Database Center, proactive recommendations scan through your risky configurations, missing best practice, and finding wasted resources. Integration with Google Cloud Security Command Center further detects missing compliance and most common security problems. Users can further ask Gemini quickly in natural language to understand their problems and understand a complex, say, compliance standard. Let us look at how Symbol used Gemini to protect its entire organization. Over to you, Kat.
All right. So Symbol Shop's successful flash sale fueled rapid growth, leading to new contracts and a broader customer base, which is awesome. But now they face the challenge of meeting a new compliance standard across their entire organization. Ian is tasked with implementing the necessary changes to achieve this compliance. Let's go to a demo so we can look at how Database Center helps him do this easily and seamlessly. So first, Ian's going to go ahead and move from Symbol Shops to Symbol Core. And this allows him to get a view of his entire database fleet across the whole Symbol organization, not just for the Symbol Shops project. Currently, he can see, by looking at the industry compliance card, that NIST 853 is not part of their regular compliance checks, and he needs to make sure it is. So he goes ahead, he clicks on our handy Customize button, and as you can see, he can customize multiple fleet issues. He looks at industry compliance, finds the NIST 853, and applies it. Now, he can go ahead and click on the violations and get zeroed in directly to all of the resources that violate NIST 853. He selects the first resource, And now he can see all of the reasons why this particular resource might be violating this standard. What he sees here is that in this particular case, this resource is violating the standard because it has public IP enabled. He'd like to find out, okay, how do I disable public IP? So he goes ahead and asks our handy Gemini chat here, how do I disable public IP? Ian has chat built into his workflow, so he doesn't have to spend time digging through docs and looking for the answer to this particular question. He can stay focused on his work right here in Database Center. And as you see, Gemini has returned a stepped list of all the things that he needs to do in order to disable public IP. Ian follows these instructions and fixes all resources that have this problem. But while these instructions help fix the immediate problem, he needs a longer-term solution. So he's going to go ahead and ask Gemini, is there an org policy I can set for this? He can seamlessly continue his conversation with Gemini, getting answers to follow-up questions without needing to provide any additional context. And so, as we can see, Gemini has now told him that yes, in fact, there is an organizational policy that you can set for this. And Ian is thrilled because all of this happened extremely quickly. Before, he would have relied on multiple scripts, each tailored to a specific database or API, and it would have taken him a long time. Gemini and the Database Center's unified compliance view streamlines the entire process. Now Ian is able to resolve the NIST 853 issue in minutes. So, 6 months after Symbol Shops finished its final database migration, they're happily running their full inventory in the cloud. From migration to application development to performance insights to fleet management that keeps them in compliance with an increasing array of partners, Symbol feels confident and secure in the assistance that Gemini provides to their organization. Back to you, Nimesh.
Thank you, Kat, for wonderful demos. 5 successful live demos with Gemini. The demo gods have been gracious on us today. You've seen how a fictional company, Symbol, uses Gemini to transform its entire database management journey. Let us look at this in real life. We have with us Ford, our design partner, who is using Gemini, has been testing Gemini to manage its thousands and thousands of fleets of databases. I'd like to invite Bogdan Capatina from Ford and Alexey, Ossikine, product manager, Gemini in databases.
Thank you very much, Nimesh.
That was an outstanding 5 demos.
Right. Next slide, please. Oh. Sorry about that. All right. So while developing Gemini in databases, we have been very fortunate to have Ford as our leading design partner in the process. And Bogdan Capatina is here today to share how Gemini in databases will impact Ford's database efforts so that Ford can maintain that amazing level of database innovation. Can you tell us a little bit about your team and its objectives, and ultimately, who are your internal customers?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alexey, and good morning, everyone. So I'm part of a central team of DBAs, and we manage several thousand databases globally distributed in support of all lines of business at Ford. In terms of data processing granularity, they vary all the way from near real-time and support of plant floor systems all the way to analytics and mainframe. Our database assets are distributed both on-prem as well as in the cloud, with GCP being our primary cloud provider. In terms of database engines, we span the gamut all the way from gotta be careful here, extended relational to all types of, all ilks of NoSQL databases, document processing, graph databases, wide column databases, caching, and so forth. We're actually looking at time series and ledger databases. So we have a wide variety of database engines, thousands of databases, globally distributed, as I mentioned, very sophisticated data granularity requirements. In terms of our customers, we cater to all the personas that Nimesh mentioned. So we are, whether we application developers, architects, security specialists, executive management, we need to make sure that our customers have the right access to data as well as information so they can make informed decisions and get their job done. Final comment that I would make is one of the core tenets of our database strategy at Ford is what we refer to as fit-for-purpose databases. It's no longer a one-size-fits-all answer, so that adds to the variation or to the variety as well as to the evolution of offerings that we need to make available.
Wonderful, wow. So how exactly is your work so important to Ford as a whole?
See, we consider ourselves stewards of the data at Ford. And we see data as being a critical component of the compute fabric. And that allows us to build both innovative applications as well as to introduce and integrate novel technologies, techniques such as AI, and then furthermore, generative AI. Okay. It ultimately, leads Ford to build great products and make better and timely business decisions. That's sort of in a nutshell.
Thank you. So we know you've been migrating many assets from on-prem into the cloud to deal with all the scale and complexity involved in your database fleets. What have been your two biggest challenges along this journey?
Yeah, two biggest challenges that we face as an organization, not just the database organization, but the larger Ford IT organization. Number one, we are involved in an aggressive multi-year effort to migrate large segments of our application portfolio from on-prem to the cloud to GCP. So that involves pretty much all the personas that Nimesh mentioned. And you talked eloquently about the journey that's involved. Some applications have to be completely rewritten, some can be ported. So there's a challenge, and we stand ready to support our partners within the organization, whether it's application developers, that require expertise or don't have the right expertise with respect to the new database offerings or feature functionality that exists on GCP, or assist as part of the migration efforts, troubleshooting, performance issues, and whatnot. So we're partners along the journey. I think the second biggest challenge, and I talk about this internally, I'll mention it here. In our journey of 2+ years, 3 years to the cloud, we've noticed a 5-fold increase in terms of our databases. And this is primarily a result of a new paradigm in terms of managing and operating databases in the cloud. We refer to it internally as database as a service, and what that means is the cloud provider pretty much handles all the operations that were traditionally done on-prem. The relationship is a direct one between the application teams and the cloud provider. So as such, the role of the DBA and the DBA organization has changed and is evolving at Ford. There's certain things that need to happen at the central DBA function level, especially around visibility, fleet management, compliance and cost. These are things that internally we refer to as driving a cloud mindset. So all these things are things that are now handled at the central DBA level. This is a significant inflection point, and I expect very large global organizations are going through the same journey we're going through.
So how have you dealt so far with central visibility?
I was hoping you were going to ask that question. So our approach, we have built very sophisticated internal dashboards that are cloud-specific, that investigate the metadata that the cloud provider exposes by way of an API. So these are time-consuming, and a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, the APIs evolve over time, so you always have to be well-versed in terms of what the cloud provider makes available. And second, the data model or the metadata that's returned back to the customer also varies in time. So this is a process that takes time, and it's not an easy one. And it also results in the fact that the information that we provide back sometimes is disjointed, obviously from cloud to cloud. So our preference is to have the cloud provider do that on our behalf. And I think we found an exceptional partnership with Google. We've worked closely for over a year, providing our feedback in terms of our needs. And as we've seen Gemini and databases evolve, we've been part of the journey. And again, an exceptional partnership, meeting our needs both today and going forward.
So how will Gemini and databases help empower your team at present, and how do you see that evolving in the future?
Okay, so in terms of the present, as I mentioned, we've been part of the journey, so we believe it aligns with our vision. It offers us the ability to provide fleet-level management, to provide visibility across all offerings that exist on GCP. You heard Nimesh talk about democratizing access to the data, and I'll just add a bit of context to that. What we see that as meaning is that all the personas, in a sense, have visibility to the exact fleet, and potentially could interrogate and investigate the fleet and take whatever actions are deemed appropriate. So that's working. All right. So that's part of the present. Now, just thinking about the product itself, I think it's both, and I'm going to be a bit provocative here. I think it's both revolutionary and evolutionary. So why revolutionary? First of all, this is the first product that Google is providing to the marketplace to handle the space. And from my perspective and our perspective, there's two really powerful things that it brings for customers. First of all, you saw in the demos, you saw in the pillars, the integration potentially in time of these different assistive capabilities, whether it's in migration, code development, compliance, as well as fleet-level management and view. You don't have to jump around from one tool or to another. That's a really powerful capability. And then the second reason I think it's revolutionary, because it handles all the needs of the different personas that are mentioned. And that gives the opportunity in very large organizations for the different personas to have continuous dialogue. There could be issues raised at the CIO level, or someone managing a significant chunk of the fleet with respect to security issues, compliance, or cost, or whatnot. And they get circulated internally, and all personas have visibility. That's the essence of the democratization, and I think that's really powerful. Now, why evolutionary? So this is the challenge that I put forth. We think that it sets the right foundation going forward for what I believe and we believe are going to be three major directions, and you can consider them as inflection points or whatnot. Number one, we believe that extending the cloud paradigm to on-prem is going to happen, especially in the database space. And there's presentation, I think, at this conference around Google Distributed Cloud. Other cloud providers are working on similar type of capabilities. So that paradigm and that way of operating, managing databases, I think is going to extend to on-prem. So this sets the right foundation because it gives you the visibility, the 360 view capability and whatnot. Second, it also sets a marker with respect to other database offerings that are made available through Marketplace, because eventually they will have to integrate or be aware of what Gemini and databases has to offer. Because large organizations like ours are going to want to have that visibility. And then the third thing, I think there's going to be, that's why I call it evolutionary capabilities for customers to bring in their specific metadata that can be joined with, did I complete? With the metadata and the data model that's the underpinnings of Gemini and databases. That's a long answer, sorry about that.
That's a very good answer, Bogdan. We've learned so much today about your database transformation journey, and really appreciate you sharing your thoughts also about how Gemini and databases can help you along the way. And over the past year and more, it's been a huge pleasure to have partnered so closely with you as a database leader and Ford as a driver of innovation. So thank you.
Thank you, and I want to also thank the Google team. I think it's been an exceptional journey from our end, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Back.
Thank you, Ford, for your partnership, your thought leadership in shaping the future of database management. Enterprises like Ford trust Gemini because it's enterprise ready from day one. It's designed keeping data privacy and security needs of enterprises. You control your data, not Google. We do not use your data for any model training. Like all GCP products, data access through Gemini is controlled by strict IAM permissions. We also have an AI-optimized backend so that you get accurate and comprehensive responses. We leverage our mature database infrastructure with industry-leading vector searches. Last, it's built on Gemini platform, which follows Google's AI guiding principles. And with Google's AI scalable infrastructure, it can meet demands of thousands and hundreds of thousands of databases very easily. Like Ford, you all can kick tires on Gemini and databases today. This is all available to you right through our console. I cannot wait to see what you all can do with Gemini and databases. I want to welcome you all to the new era of database management. Thank you for attending the session today. Have a good day and rest of the next. Thank you so much.